So which Mac should you buy in 2024? I'm going to tell you because I recently have upgraded to a MacBook Pro Max. I'll let you know if you should purchase the Max or you can just stick with the Pro or maybe even a MacBook Air. I'll give you all my thoughts and all the things that I encounter since I've been doing video content for you guys. And also I'll show you a little bit more of the way that I use this computer and why I needed something so powerful. So if you want to know all of that, and even should you wait until 2025 to buy a new MacBook, those answers will be answered after the intro. Hi everyone, Marcus here from Macbook, and if you love tech and if you love discounts, this is the place for you. And today we'll be talking a little bit more about Apple and some of the questions that you can have before purchasing one, and obviously all the things that I have upgraded on my new MacBook Pro M3 Max. So first thing that you have to think about this brand is that every 3 years, let's say, they have a new lineup. So if you look to the Max, you have the M1, M2 and M3. And next year you'll have the M4 that is basically going to be built around AI. And if you decided to purchase the MacBook M3 Max or M3 Pro or the MacBook Air, you have a device that is an old generation of chips because the new cycle of chips from Apple will restart from next year. And Apple have decided to invest on a new chip even if the M3 just came out. And if you look to old generation of chips, you'll have, for example, the M3 Ultra that is not going to be released because they have decided to just jump into the M4. I couldn't wait for a new Mac because unfortunately this one is a MacBook Pro Intel from 2019, fully specs. You have 64 gigs of RAM, 4 terabytes inside this computer, but for my new way of working in here, it was definitely not working for me. So I had to invest because I need to continue to deliver videos for you guys. And the new Mac, the M4, the new chip, will be released in the end of this year. But if we look to, for example, an Apple Studio, that was what I was thinking to purchase, and I will let you know why, it will be just released in the summer. And I'm a great believer that what you need today will not be the same next year. So if I just go back in time and I look to my Mac, I used to use my Mac only to make my videos on YouTube. Like here is my Final Cut Pro and one of my latest videos that I have added for you guys. And this was my only workflow. And nowadays I don't use my Mac only to edit my videos, but also I use my Mac to record like I'm doing right now. So this shows to you guys that your needs as a content creator, for example, they can change every single year. So maybe 1 year you want just to record in 180p, and the next year you decided that you now want to start editing and filming in 4K, and the machine that you purchase at that specific time doesn't work for your needs today. And when we talk about MacBooks, you have a massive issues that happens basically every single year. It's a bit better now with the M1, M2 and M3, but it continues to happen and you need to be careful. I'm talking about overheating. So when we look to the new Mac, you can purchase obviously as a 14-inch or a 16-inch, but we have found in multiple reviews that if you purchase the 16-inch, you have quite high temperatures in your computer. But if you choose a MacBook Pro 16 inches, because the computer is bigger, there is more space on the inside of your computer, allowing that your computer can run cooler. And this computer, that is the MacBook Pro 16-inch from 2019 with the Intel processor, the big issue that I always had here is temperatures, because the power of this machine is insane, but it can't handle the amount of temperature that runs in here. And for that, I was really thinking to sacrifice the portability of my Macs to purchase a Mac Studio. But when we talk about the Mac Studio, at this point, you only have a M2 chip. And if you want to have an updated chip on the Mac Studio, you'll have to wait until the summer of 2025. But if you want to have an M4 with a MacBook Pro, I believe that you'll have to wait even longer, because this is one of the latest computers that you have on the market from Apple. Maybe that will be a problem for you if you are really in need to swap your computer. But if you have a M1 or M2, I will definitely don't recommend you to purchase the M3 at this point, because in the end of the day is the third generation of 3, and your M1 and M2 is still a very good computer. But if, like me, you are stuck with an Intel one or even older further, I think that the MacBook Pro M3 will be a great update. If you are between buying a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air, because of the heating problems, I definitely don't recommend you to do that purchase. Obviously, it's going to be lighter, but it's going to overheat quicker. When we talk about chips, you have obviously the M3, you have the M3 Pro and the M3 Max, but the M3 is just available on the 14-inch. And as I explained before, you will have some issues of overheating if you decided to purchase the 14-inch. And when you change to a 16-inch, as you can see now, you only have available the M3 Pro. That is a great machine, but let's check the M3 Max, because when you go to an M3 Max, is basically the only one that really protects you against the future if in the future you decided to start filming in 8K. And obviously when you go to the 16-inch with the M3 Max chip, you have here two generations, one with 14-core CPU and one with 16-core CPU, but in my case I have choose the top one. If you are like me and you want not to only edit your videos but also filming them using OBS, I'll definitely recommend you at least the M3 Max. I know it's not cheap, but believe me, it's a game changer. So I'll show you in a second how my computer performs if I basically open my Final Cut Pro, I'm rendering that video, etc. Because there are other things that you should upgrade on your computer if you are like me and you want to be a content creator. That makes a massive difference, and few things that I see a lot of you guys making mistakes when you are basically buying your Mac, because in the end of the day, if you do those things, you are basically stuck for the future. So when we reach here, you can see that the original memory that comes with this top of the range is 48 gigs. Obviously, if you go to other options, you can go below up to 36 gigs, but you will understand that maybe that will not be enough for you, and I'll show you in proving how much memory RAM I have to use to be able to do what I do with my computer. So for that reason, I have upgraded to 64 gigs of memory. Obviously, you have that option to go up to 128 gigs, but I think it's a bit overkill. When we go back here, you'll be able to choose 1 terabyte, and obviously if you go to the cheaper versions, you'll be able to start from 512 gigs. But that is a big issue. I'll definitely recommend you to at least have 1 terabyte, and if you can, I will upgrade to 2 terabytes. That is what I've done to my MacBook Pro M3 Max, because in that way you'll not need to run all the memory that you have on your computer. And something that I don't see a lot of guys talking about is if you choose to go with the 512 gigs, you will be very limited, because when your memory starts to be completely full inside your computer starts to slow down. So that's why I decided to upgrade mine to 2 terabytes, because that allows me that even if I use 1 terabyte, I still have 1 terabyte in my computer, allowing that the computer will never slow down. So now I'm going to show you by A+B how powerful is this computer, and also why, for example, I need 64 gigs of RAM, and a lot of people may think that is too much. So as you can see, the Final Cut is working, is basically playing the video on the background. I'm filming this video for you guys, and here on the top you have the status, and as you can see, there is no yellow image here. So for example, if the average time to render was getting a little bit slow, it will show this in yellow, and if it was really bad, it will be red. You can see here obviously some frame missing due to rendering. You see 34, but if you look to the percentage, it's still 0%, so it's not relevant whatsoever, and I have 0 drop of frames, and you can see now the average time to render is slowing down slightly. But the reason for that is if I open this, you'll be able to see that if I show you the output of the recording, I'm rescaling to 4K, and the bitrate is 80,000 kilobytes per second. And this is completely insane, because if you think about the bitrate when you are trying to stream is about 2,500. So in this case, I'm using 80,000 kilobytes per second, so it's really heavy on it, and my audio is running in the maximum, so 320. So now I'm basically doing the export of that video. I continue to have 0% of frame missing due to rendering. The video is going slowly. It was basically 413, and it's going super fast. So if you look here on the top, 28. as you can see, 30. If I continue to look here, I didn't have any drops of frames whatsoever. But one of the things that I want just to show you guys is if you look here, you can see that I'm using 63% of my RAM. If I was not having my 64 gigs of RAM, I'll have already basically used my 48 gigs of RAM. So in other words, if I need to do something a little bit more heavy, so if I'm going to use like 8K in the future, I'll be a little bit limited because it's going to ask more power delivery to do exactly the same. So if I go back here on the video, we can see that it have already rendered 73% and basically just 1 minute have passed and it's going super fast. The RAM continued to be 63, 64 gigs of RAM used, and I have no problem whatsoever because I still didn't have any drops of frames. But the main thing is you can see that is using my RAM without a problem, but it's quite heavy on it. And if I look here, you can see that the CPU is just used in 24%, 21%, and the temperature is still quite low. And that's always been a massive problem of any Apple device that I purchase, is the overheat. But the M3 Max is insanely good, and that was my main concern when I was purchasing this one, because I was scared that will do exactly the same issues that was happening in here. So as you could see, it could handle, but it was just to show you that I can continue to film, and something that I couldn't do with my Mac, the one with an Intel processor, it was too slow. The big question is, should you purchase the M3 now, and is it the best option in 2024? I have to say, for you guys, it's definitely the best option, but if you have purchased recently an M1 or an M2, I'll definitely don't purchase that, because in the end of the day, it's the last generation of 3, so the M4 will be the first new generation of a new cycle for Apple. So if you can wait until 2025, I will do it. But if you want to purchase a MacBook, I think it's going to be the last one to be updated, because this is the latest chip that you have from Apple. So now it depends on the needs that you have and obviously the urgency that you have. And obviously I needed a computer because this one was not able to handle what I'm doing right now for you guys. My name is Marco, this is Macbook. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, comment below, smash the thumbs up, do whatever you want, but always with a smile on your face. And I hope to see you in the next one.